Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff from California. He joins me now, part of this sit-in. Congressman, well, let me ask you this. You were there for 25 hours. We're hearing you guys might go back. What is the demand, the specific demand going to be? We know you want action on gun control somehow, but specifically, what is it you want?
Well, quite contrary to what the Speaker was saying about interfering with the House's business, the problem is the House isn't doing business. It isn't taking up important measures to the American people. And we resorted to this extreme remedy, this essentially a filibuster of the House, to demand a vote on very common sense gun safety legislation, like the idea that if you're on the no-fly list, if you're too dangerous to be on an American plane, you're too dangerous to go and buy an assault weapon with an extended ammunition clip. There ought to be the same treatment for people in terms of getting access to deadly weapons as being able to fly on an American aircraft. So that's what we're trying to get a vote on. We also would like to get a vote on universal background checks. These are issues broadly supported by 80, maybe 90% of the American people, and the Speaker and majority currently won't let the business of the country, the priorities of the country, even get a vote.
Let me ask you this, though, in terms of this being a response to what happened in Orlando, and we know that the shooter for a while had been on this FBI, the large FBI watch list. He was taken off of it at the time that he purchased his gun. He was not on this list. So there's a lot of questions about whether any of this legislation being talked about right now would have even dealt with this situation. What we do know is that he had an assault weapon. How come you guys are not pushing right now for an assault weapons ban?
Well, we are pushing for a few things that would have a direct impact on the Orlando case. Indeed, part of this package that Susan Collins is working on in the Senate, as well as part of an effort I'm doing here in the House, is to make sure that people that were on the watch list, even when they're taken off, that the FBI can have a flag in the system where they get notified when that person goes to buy a gun. Because I have to think that here, those Bureau agents that ran that initial investigation to ground in 2013 and 2014, had they known that this guy was going to gun shops to buy body armor, that he was going to gun shops to buy an assault weapon, extended clips, they would have wanted to reopen that investigation. So that's part of this Senate proposal. It's something I'm also urging the administration to do on their own if we can't get this through the Congress.
There is actually this concept of the idea of not allowing terrorists to buy weapons. There is bipartisan consensus when you listen to people from both sides of the aisle talk about this. Where the breakdown seems to be here, though, is over this issue of due process. And this is not necessarily a left-right, Democrat-Republican breakdown. The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, is against all of these bills that have come forward in Congress to use the no-fly list, this no-fly, no-buy idea you're talking about. One reason that they say is people are added to this list in secret. Americans don't have a chance to defend themselves when they're added to this list, and they said they have serious concerns that the government applies the watch lists in an arbitrary or discriminatory fashion, particularly against American Muslim, Arab, and South Asian communities. They're saying, look, you put something like this on the books, you're going to be targeting very specific minority communities in an unfair way. What do you say to that?
Well, for the ACLU, this is very much about due process, and they're consistent about that. But for the Republicans, this is a fig leaf, because their concern for due process doesn't extend to due process for suspected terrorists who want to board a flight.
But Congressman, can you address the concern that the ACLU is making? You can dispute
sure.
whether the Republicans are doing this in good faith or not, but this has been put out there. Why is this not a valid concern?
No, listen, I think it's a valid point, and I think those due process concerns can and should be met. And I think the Senate legislation attempts to do that so that people have a way, if they're somehow improperly, because of name confusion or otherwise, put on a watch list, they have a workable, efficient mechanism to get off the watch list. I fully concur with that. But what I don't concur with is using this issue as a way to hide the true agenda. And I think it's very significant that the Republicans here that claim to have a sudden interest in due process for suspected terrorists don't show any interest in due process for suspected terrorists when it comes to when they go to court or when they try to get on a plane. It's only around guns. And why is that? Because the real common denominator here has three initials, and it's the NRA. They run petrified of the NRA, and that's really, for the Republicans, what this is all about.
All right, Adam Schiff, Congressman from California, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.